Peace, peace, shalom. Shalom, shalom. I got a quick question for you. I want to know, what do you think happened after, for those of you who believe in the Messiah, what do you think happened after he resurrected from the grave? In between him resurrecting from the grave and going to the highest heavens and being seated at the right hand of the Father, what do you think happened during his ascent, passing through the heavens? Now, keeping in mind, the heavenlies are where the principalities are, thrones, dominions, you know, all these heavenly beings and ranks are existing in these heavenlies. So, what do you think is happening when he's passing through them? Checkpoints. You think about the cherubim guarding the Garden of Eden. Where's your passport? You gonna cross over here? When you think about the cherubim on the curtains in the tabernacle, or when you think about the cherubim on the Ark of the Covenant looking down into the witness and record and the story of Yahweh from his own testimony, from his own record, his own scribal account of who he is, the living word. What do you think is happening? That the angels desire to look into these things. Have you considered that? He's not just resurrecting, but he's resurrecting, but having to pass through every checkpoint. It's like an initiation. Okay, you say you one of the gods or you're God. Come on up here, let us examine you. But he says, not only am I God, I'm going to banish all of you to mythology. All you false gods, I'm banishing you to mythology, and they will deal with me as a historical figure who came through the womb. See, a lot of these false gods, there is not even a claim that they existed as humans, except for the ones that were created from ancestral worship and the retelling, oral tradition, retelling of stories. But for the most part, they don't even see them as real. So now you have Christ coming in. Now people will argue the validity of his essence, and they'll argue his historical record, and they'll debate about whether he existed. But everybody knows that we treat the Messiah as a historical being. So his success in ministry created a whole new era of enlightenment and a whole new era that forced us to look at these false gods, or to look at these other gods, these other deities, as not as legit as him. And then when you add to that this being, that this person in the natural was not made up by a European race, was not made up in the Caucasus Mountains, but these stories were told, and this history and this heritage was brought into being by melanated people. You say, why does it matter? Well, it matters only because other people have taken this material and manipulated it to seem as if it originated in the hearts of slave masters, which is not true. If you're a Hebrew Israelite, you understand that. Even if you are in Kemet, you understand where the stories originated from. So the gospel is not a gospel of the white man to subjugate all of the rest of humanity, but the gospel is the gospel that was permeating through original peoples and spreading out to the furthest regions to include the Gentiles. That's the realest expression when you start talking about the history without getting into chapters and verses and citing references.